doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Chris Gleason and Act Blue. Chris, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
So Chris is a big contributor of ours. He's writes for the Miami Independent and CDM often, and we really appreciate that because we've been screaming from the rooftops for 3 years, Chris, on all this smurfing, money laundering, and boom, out of the blue this morning, New York Times says Act Blue's in turmoil. What say you?
Well, we knew it was coming eventually. We've been investigating this. We have every single Smurf in the country mapped out from greatest to least. We have them mapped from the federal level to the state level to the local level. It's quite comprehensive. A lot of work. Not a lot of recognition. Not a lot of.
You get it here, Chris.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, we get it here.
You notice nobody else invites you on their shows. We've always wondered why that is.
Yeah, well, it's all about controlling the narrative and controlled opposition. So that's okay. Yeah. So that's okay. We knew it was coming. They knew it was coming, and they've actually been setting the stage for the replacement. So, just like Tarzan, right, in the jungle, he isn't going to let go of one vine until he has another set up. The problem for them, though,
is they got Chris Gleason and Bernegger in the background.
Yeah, and Phil Allison. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have been on this like a hobo on a ham sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
So we know for a fact that Democracy Engine, they've been warming that up for quite some time. And there's another one called The Action Network. And that one is actually tied to the unions. And we have has moved on from Act Blue. They moved on from Act Blue effective in December because we did such a good job frustrating their money laundering operations. Now, coincidentally, as we looked at the data, right, we didn't just do the Smurfs, because in any good money laundering operation, you have to have complicit bankers, you have to have complicit accountants, you have to have complicit attorneys, and they're all involved in the election fraud, money laundering, RICO enterprise. And so, Perkins Coie, great news, came out the past couple of days. President Trump suspended their security clearances. And, we know
what does that do? Chris, you're real familiar, much more than I, with the legal profession because you've been involved in it pro se for some time. What does that actually do to Perkins Coie? Does it impact them, or is it just performative?
Well, they can't touch anything now that's classified. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Another thing about Perkins Coie is, I know that you were personally impacted by this. The Perkins Coie during the 2018, in the lead up to the 2018 midterm elections, they, in collusion with the Center for Internet Security and Big Tech, intentionally targeted alternative media who posed a threat. And back then, I posed a threat to them with with some of the stuff that we were doing on social media. I was a social media influencer before anybody knew what a social media influencer was. And so in October of 2018, Perkins Coie, in collusion with other bad actors, targeted us and took us out. They took out, there was about me and 500 other people that we had collectively about 500,000, and right, we had about what was fans? We had 100 million fans and followers across social media, with about 2 billion weekly post views. And so what ended up happening is they targeted us and they took us off the table. And that was, sort of an issue. Now, Perkins Coie played a big role in that. And now, so, and this actually came out in the Missouri versus Biden case in the deposition of Elvis Chan, in which time Mark Elias, I believe it was Mark Elias, he had reached out to Elvis Chan, and they worked together to suppress conservatives in 2018. And then in his deposition, you guys, I believe, had sued him. And he said, oh, no, 2020 was nothing. We were way worse in 2018. So Perkins Coie, they also played a massive role in setting up a lot of the PACs and nonprofits tied to the Smurfing. And they were also one of the largest beneficiaries of the illegal fee money laundered through this network of Smurfs. So then you have Mark Elias. He split off from Perkins Coie. However, Perkins Coie has some prestigious alumni, such as Ellen Weintraub of the Federal Elections Commission, who President Trump fired, but she's trying to contest that.
Yeah.
You also have the AG for Wisconsin, Josh Kaul. He also received Smurf money. He also played a role in the Smurfing. And I believe he was one of the attorneys behind the Russian collusion dossier. So we have them. It's all mapped out. The thing about money is they thought they were going to get away with it forever. And fortunately, we mapped it out. They weren't anticipating what we did. We've been engaged in lawfare, and we're going to push this thing through. I mean, my counterpart, Peter Bernegger, when he started exposing some of the Dominion stuff, Josh Kaul had him arrested. Yeah, and Peter spent the better part of a week in jail without a hearing.
Yeah,
and talk about the weaponization of government.
But so how does this go down, Chris? I mean, what do you think? I mean, obviously, the pressure is getting a little too much for them. They won't talk about it on legacy media. Even Conservative Inc. won't talk about it. You have Charlie Kirk out this morning saying, what a great result. Well, none of the Conservative Inc. has really talked about this except us and a few others from time to time. So I find it interesting to think about what is going to happen. Is this, I mean, we talk about Georgia. I mean, we busted Brian Kemp. It's coming through Win Red too. So it's Win Red and Act Blue. It's the whole uniparty matrix.
That's right.
How does this?
Why?
What's the end game?
The end game is to disrupt and seize the money flows. I mean, because at the end of the day, this is a massive criminal money laundering operation. And Ken Paxton, in the fall, he made a criminal referral to the DOJ. I am 100% sure that the Biden-Harris DOJ did nothing with that referral. Yeah. And so now we have Pam Bondi there, and hopefully she does the right thing. If she doesn't, well, then it's up to us to hold her accountable and to force them into doing something. I mean, she is.
Well, we're how much 2 months into it? We have no Epstein files.
Yeah.
None of all the JFK files aren't out.
Yeah.
No arrests except lower hanging fruit here or there on election fraud, and no talk about. I think Trump has said to the governors, you got to make paper ballots, but.
Well, look at what they're doing here in Florida. I mean, you've got Cord Byrd and the rest of the Florida election fraud mafia now trying to exempt all the election record data, which, I mean, it's just so egregious. There's
so people like you can't find anything and just trust the elections.
Yeah, just trust us because, so no, absolutely not. That's not acceptable, and we're not going to stand for it. And we're going to fight this. Matter of fact, I've got 2 cases right now in the 2nd DCA Court of Appeals, and all of this stuff is getting flushed out. We've got some federal lawsuits being filed. We've got a case because this is truly a bipartisan effort here on our end. I've been working with a Democrat candidate locally here in Pinellas County who was also deprived of his election, and we've been talking and sharing information back and forth. He's currently suing DeSantis, Byrd, and a whole host of other nefarious characters. And I believe he's due for a Florida Supreme Court hearing. So, I mean, we know exactly. I mean, we have all the data. And unfortunately, what's happened is a lot of these compromised judges have been ruling contrary to the rule of law because they're compromised, kind of like, John Roberts, whose name appeared on the Epstein flight logs. And you wonder why he rules the way he does. So, the political currency in Florida and in Washington, D.C. is blackmail and bribery. And so if we can seize funds and stop the flow of this illegal money, then we the people actually have a shot at a real election, because fraud costs money.
That's why they're getting, corrupt judges in district courts, as you say, to attempt to run the United States and prevent an executive power. Which is fascinating. Yeah. So,
I mean, we just got to keep fighting. Like President Trump said, fight, fight, fight. And,
long haul.
I mean, this is our country at the end of the day. And even, the highest authority in the country is we the people. It's the consent of the governed. And if you have rogue elements which have infiltrated a legitimate organization like the United States government, the judiciary, the legislative branches of government, well, it's up to us to expose it and hold them accountable. And, that's why, regimes that are operating with the consent of the governed, they don't have to resort to controlled opposition narratives. They don't have to resort to rigged elections. I mean, in Pinellas County, in Pinellas County, Florida alone, we had 216,673 illegally requested vote by mail ballots by people other than the voters. And then those illegally requested vote by mail ballots, which were processed through the internet to servers on AWS and Virginia, then triggered a 219,673 counts of individual mail fraud.
Yeah.
So, that's just one county. And Florida's the gold standard. So if this is going on in Florida, the bastion of election transparency and integrity, what's going on in New York?
It's going on in Georgia and Arizona and everywhere as well. But, I was in the courtroom in Pinellas and saw the judge who you had all the evidence, and she just said, I'm sealing all of it. Nobody can see anything. Dismiss the case. Well, fascinating.
So in a twisted chain of events, right now I'm working on a motion to disqualify that judge because it appears that judge herself is on this list of illegally requested vote by mail ballots that she unlawfully sealed. She sealed everything. And so I'm sure one of the county attorneys, and I'm sure the supervisor of elections said, you got to seal everything because we're all going to hang for this. So she's going to have a nice surprise today, and the court's going to have a nice surprise today. And over the next couple of weeks, I think we're all going to see some really spicy stuff happening.
So keep us in the loop, Chris. And I know I pulled you away from your AI legal mind over there, but I'll let you get back to it. Tell us where people can follow you. Tell us how people can follow your AI company.
Sure. So our AI company is realtruth.ai. It's still in alpha. It's still in alpha beta testing right now, but go sign up, try it out. And you can follow me on X at Immutable Christ. And I am posting on the Miami Independent, Creative Destruction Media, the Georgia Record, and my own personal Substack, immutabletruthelections.substack.com.
Chris, big attaboy from our audience and from the CDM team, because without you, the Republic wouldn't have been saved or will not be saved. So thank you very much. We'll have
Thank
you
you
back.
for having me on. Without you, my efforts would have been a lone voice in the woods.
So if Chris Gleason saves the world in the woods, does anybody really hear it? I mean, all right, Chris, thanks. Take care. Bye.